Hello, and welcome to another episode of Product and Cake. Today, in the virtual recording studio with me is Paul. How you doing, Paul?
I'm good. Thank you, Ghonche. So good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. Today there was a little bit of sunshine in Berlin.
True.
I did all the photosynthesis that I could, so I feel much better today.
Nice. I took a walk outside and I heard some birds singing, and I took that as the first signs of spring that is around the corner.
Yeah, today I also had a dog trainer for my dog, and now he's growling. He's not happy about sharing medical information online, apparently.
That's protected by the GDPR.
GDPR, yeah. And he behaved so well in front of the dog trainer. He was like, I'm the best boy ever. I've never had any issues. I've never growled while my mom was having a podcast. And immediately as she went out of the door, he started. I was like, well.
That's how it goes, I would say.
Yeah.
Talking about going somehow, I have a check-in question for you, Ghonche. So
tell me.
I teased you already. It will become a difficult one, and I invite every listener to also answer that for your own. So, what do you need to let go of?
Ooh. Is it a therapy question or is it a physical?
You can, as in all good check-in questions, you can freely decide on how to answer the question.
I think it's Yoda who said that let go of the things you fear to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, sounds very wise and maybe it's super hard to do, actually.
Exactly. I am in general an anxious person, so there's a lot that I need to let go of. But one is the anxiety and the fear of things going wrong and calculating how everything can go wrong and then calculating an answer for all of those things that can go wrong. So I need to let go of that.
Yeah, that sounds
You?
exhausting.
Yeah. But also that's why I'm so happy today, because I kind of had the realization that this might sound very bad, but I had the realization that nothing really matters, but not in a bad way, in a way that eventually everything falls into the right place. Eventually it will be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, true. That's also a good transition for our episode topic today. But before taking that way, I would answer that question more physically because my basement is full of things and I really have an issue with taking a look at it and pulling some random thing out of it. And I'm thinking, wow, this is what I not used for 3 years now. I'm very old. I never need it. Let it go. And then something in my brain is telling me, yeah, but maybe tomorrow that would become super useful. You should definitely keep it. And that is difficult. I want to get rid of stuff, but my mind is against it.
Yeah, I have a general rule that if there is something that you can, if there is something that you can replace under 50 euros in less than 50 minutes, you can toss it.
Yeah. That could become very expensive.
Yeah, but if you haven't used it in 3 years, it's...
Yeah, true. Very true. So, I hope all of our listeners also find the answer on their own on this deep question for this afternoon here. And we can slowly transition into our today's topic because we are closing season 3 now. And you heard already a lot of stuff about product management, right? We tackled so many topics and we always explained how to make things tangible and visible and how to surface things and how to put mechanisms in place and so on and so forth. And maybe there's one last topic that were slightly overlooked in the last episodes, and that is the one thing that is always appearing if we have multiple humans in a room, or maybe even one, or maybe already two. That is a conflict. When you have multiple people with different expectations and experiences, they will come with different ideas. And
Yeah.
especially in product development, I think it is very common that you have, for example, engineers that are complaining about product requirements.
Yeah.
So what comes to your mind first when you are hearing that complaints and the engineers are saying again that it's not well enough described, don't know, what about the edge cases? I would do that better.
I mean, there are a couple of things. One is I would try to go to the root cause. Where does that complaint come from? But also sometimes it is, before even going to root cause, it is valid that something is not well described. But at the same time, I would like to ask everyone to be involved as soon as possible, so they don't need to necessarily have something well written for them to understand what happens. They can already know exactly all of the topics, so they can also be involved in defining it better with thinking about the edge cases already a little in advance, so they don't need a very well written description, then their work starts then. But they can come along with the whole product discovery process already and can bring their ideas there as well. So that's my way to go usually. I know sometimes due to some reasons it might not be as easy. I don't think it is impossible in any scenario. I think there is always a possibility to involve people as soon as possible. The level of involvement might be different. But anyway, I assume in this scenario that the people were either involved at a later stage or involved the moment that they saw the ticket or the story. And now the question is that this is not well described. My way to go at this moment, if we are already there, which again, I say that it needs to be resolved before that, is to ask them for open questions. That, okay, let's create a document for open questions, because I don't know what you might need, what will impact your decision and your architectural decisions at the moment to be able to answer all of those open questions. I don't know what are edge cases that are important for your perspective. So if anything comes to your mind, then let's add it. So at least if they were not involved to this point, they start getting involved from now onwards. How about you? What is your expectation, Paul?
Yeah, I really like what you said. I mean, in an ideal world, I would be able to work completely asynchronously. Mm-hmm. So ideally, I get already well described tickets, but I also wrote a lot of tickets in my life so far, and I also had a lot of discussions where it turns out in the end people were not reading it, and then they are complaining it's not well described, and I tell them, yeah, but you didn't read the full description, so you can't tell me it's not well described. So that's why I really loved what you said, and that is the root cause. First of all, the root cause, right? What do the people want and what do they need? And also for me, it took a while, but for me personally, it is super important to always believe deeply in the positive intent, right? I'm it is so important to find the right people to work with.
Yeah.
And then we should always accept that everyone is giving their best, especially in this remote setup. It is so easy to assume things, to say, yeah, this description was just rushed because the product manager is not doing their work or don't like their work or whatever. But when that thinking starts to evolve, there becomes a problem of misunderstanding and misalignment. And most of the times when you have a real burning conflict, then it evolved already over a couple of days or even weeks. So expecting and always believing in this positive intent on people giving their best work is super important. And then having a personal relation, you can build that in one-on-one conversations, and also accepting that we are all humans. And most of our work is not deadline specific, right? Especially in tech products, the thing how companies are winning is on the long run. So you have more pressuring times in between, of course, but the real difference is the team performance on the long run. And that needs to take into account that we also have private lives. And especially working from home, it is so close. And if you see the letters from the insurance you need to work on, then you are maybe more aggressive at that day. And that's a new way on things we need to deal with.
Yeah, very well put. I fully agree there. Yeah.
So, and I am a huge fan of nonviolent communication.
Yes.
Did you ever work with that one?
Yes, I think we had a workshop even at the office about it, no?
Yeah.
If I'm mistaken?
I think so, yes. I think we did it. It is very beneficial. It needs a lot of training. But to summarize it super quickly, nonviolent communication are made out of 4 components. The first one is an observation without any judgment, right? You can just say, the ticket is written badly. Okay, that is a really bad observation because that's already a judgment, right? But you can say, for example, it is written, a button should explode when I click it, right? And then you can explain as the next component your feelings about it. And your feelings could be something like, I'm totally confused. Why should the button explode? I don't understand why that should be needed. Then comes the component of needs. So what do I need? I am an engineer. I need clarity. I need a clear transition from point A to point B. And last one is a request or a question. And here for me is the key difference and the most important thing, to ask a question where the answer could be no. If I would ask the question, can you please specify this ticket better? Then no would not be an answer I can continue with, right? But can we sit together to talk about how I can be integrated earlier in the product ideation phase? Then the answer could be no, but we can talk about how to set up the process then that I am still getting my information. Or the answer is yes, but both answers are a pathway.
Yeah. Or in this example also, if the developer sees that the ticket is not clear, they can be more specific that, hey, the wordings that needs to be used on the product is not added here. I need to know and then the second part, I need to know the wording to be able to write it on the as part of my code. And then also the impact on it, that if without the wording, I cannot have this ticket done. We cannot release it without the wording. And then the answer would be, and then the question is, what would you might need from my side to help you get the wording? Do you need, for example, translation keys? Do you need additional information? Is anyone there to support you for getting the wording? So questions that are also not very yes, no.
Yeah,
they're a little bit more guiding.
And I would really recommend to read through at least the Wikipedia article about nonviolent communication. And then sometimes as a product manager, we are in between, right? It's not so unusual that, for example, the designer wants something completely different than the engineer, for example. And then you find yourself in a kind of mediation role to help surface that conflict and to help finding a solution. And what I am doing in that situations is really trying to put my perspective out of that discussion. So I try to bring the people who really can do the decision on a table, and this is super difficult for me, but I interrupt super early. If I have the impression, hey, someone is giving an observation, but already judging everyone, then I try to interrupt as soon as possible. As soon as I feel just a super small glimpse of, hey, something feels not right, I try to interrupt and reflect, right? Without saying, hey, you said something that is judgment, don't do that. Not helpful. But saying, hey, this felt very judging for me, and I feel under pressure when you tell me this and that, then your personal feelings are always right. So I can't tell you, hey, what you are feeling is wrong. I can just explain what I tried to say. And then the conversation comes to a different level.
Yeah. One other tool that we recently used was, we realized a lot of the conflicts that we've had, not between the product and tech, but between product and UX design in our team, was not because of, as you also said, to have always in mind that people have good intent, was not because of bad intent, but exactly because of misinterpreted good intent. And we tried to put all of this on a page, and then it became clear exactly the points of conflict. What I mean is that, for example, one of the product managers thought that if they do a very low fidelity diagrams or like very bad sketches of the product design and give it to the designer as a, hey, this is the idea, would be helpful and would be making things faster, smoother, and nicer for the designer. And the designer at the same time hated this because it felt like an attack to their role, that you are already telling me what to do and your expectation of my role is just to make it look nice, which is completely fair and understandable. And at the same time, this was not the thought of the product manager. So it was just a very different aspects of looking at the same thing. And in this point, I don't think it makes sense to tell people, oh, please have in mind just everyone is doing their best. But we try to put it exactly on paper and put it visible. That what are your red flags? What are your green flags? And
that
then,
is...
and then when we did that, it became clear that some of the green flags from the product managers were exactly red flags from the designers. Said, look, this is a point of conflict. Now you two can go and discuss this further.
That is very interesting, and I see that as an excellent example to identify the root cause, right? But to have the motivation to dive into that conflict, because I hear that as it is not a super obvious conflict. It maybe feels just a little bit like, hey, we have always tension somehow between product and design. It is working. We are delivering our stuff. But maybe the designer XYZ is not so much motivated anymore. Or can we work with a different one? It's somehow complicated. If they call me, I say, oh yeah, okay, let's have the call. And this is not the right feeling, right? And that's why I meant, okay, have this positive intent in mind and find the motivation to identify the root cause of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm also meeting a lot of product managers or engineering managers, whatever, people who have to deal with that kind of conflicts. And I hear very often that the people don't like conflicts, right? They are somehow prefer to slide away from that conflict and write another process on how the handover should be, and then hopefully that conflict is resolved. But if you are in these kind of managing positions, you need to find your inner mind with saying, nice, that is a chance for you to grow, right? It's a conflict and it is your job to solve it. And if there would be no conflicts, then your job is not needed anymore. So it's also difficult for me, but when I feel like, or when I read some messages and I'm seeing already, oh damn, and the next all hands will become full of tension, or the next one-on-one with that person will become very emotional, draining, then I try to remind myself, hey, this is somehow my job, and this is a great chance for me to learn, to practice again the nonviolent communication methods. And most of the time, it's better after that conflict is solved. Much, much better than push it away over months and years and then leave frustrated.
Exactly. And it's similar to any other relationship. The more you bottle it up, at some point, it's gonna give and it's gonna explode. And a lot of times, if you discuss it, you can build the relationship better next time. It heals, and it heals stronger. So I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. And I want to repeat it again. The difference in successful companies or successful projects and unsuccessful are the people, right? In the end, at the moment still, it's the people who do majority of the work, or people who tell the AI what to do. But in the end, it's people. And if you make them work together smooth and enjoyable, and allow everybody to also have a bad day maybe in between without having a bunch of conflicts exploding, then you will have a great time and you will have a great success.
Exactly. Context matters. And I think with that, and talking a little bit about people in the product world, we need to also tease a little bit for our next season that it's gonna be all about people. It's gonna be all about different product and tech related roles. And each episode we will have an amazing guest with us. So it's all about people.
What a beautiful transition, Ghonche.
Thank you. I learned from the best.
So we have a long list of roles that contains somehow the word product, and we really want to discover with all of you together what are the differences and what are the commons, and how do people look at the product work in general. So I think our next season will become very, very thrilling.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Me
but
too.
Thank you for staying with us throughout season 3 of Product and Cake. And we see you in season 4.
Have a nice one. See you next time.
Bye.